Now, following the tragedy in Carrickmines last weekend in Dublin, Kerry County Council has carried out safety checks in the country's 4 halting sites following the tragic events at the weekend. The fire services also visited St Michael's halting site in Killarney to check an overhead barrier at the entrance to the site, which is felt could affect the efficiency of the fire response unit to any future emergency at the site. And the Director of Housing with the Council, John Breen, is awaiting a review of the safety inspections and says any changes deemed necessary will be made accordingly. Now, the Irish Independent reports this morning that Dunleera Rathdown County Council could go to court yet to build a temporary halting site for families left homeless after the Carrickmines fire, if the residents in a housing estate don't lift a blockade preventing the works going ahead. Now, to discuss this and I suppose the wider issue of society's approach and attitude to travellers, I'm joined by Martin Mahon from Tralee, who's the Vice Chair of the Kerry Travellers Health and Community Development Project. Martin, good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
Welcome to the programme. And Martin won a Culture Award at the Irish Traveller Pride Awards. You're also an actor and playwright and has staged a play at Shimsa Tira. So
yes.
Well done on all of that.
Thank you very much.
Martin, what are your reflections on what you've seen in Carrickmines? Obviously the appalling tragedy, first of all, claims the lives of 10 people, but the efforts by the local authority to reaccommodate those who survived the fire in a nearby housing estate, what do you think that says about society's attitude to travellers generally?
I mean, I think with the protest against the people, against the travellers, I mean, when has it got so bad? When has it got so bad against their own people that when there's a terrible tragedy claiming the lives of 10 innocent people, that they can't even be associated for the time? Like, what do they think travellers are going to do? Go in there and cause trouble? People really think that's the last thing on their mind at the minute, to go in there and cause trouble into a new town? They're there, they want to get out of there. They don't want to be where the people were murdered, where their family was. Because
these are people who are grieving for relatives.
Exactly.
They obviously escaped a fire themselves at the weekend. And as you say, I'm sure the last thing on their mind is to cause any trouble for anybody else.
Exactly. And I was disgusted by reading articles about Facebook posts mocking this and just people making a joke of it online, people saying you should have took the rest of them. I mean, stuff like that is disgusting. Makes me very, very angry.
Was that online?
Yes, there was an online post of a picture of a caravan.
Right.
And forgive what I say, it basically said, "Oh, Jesus, burn the rest of them."
Okay.
Mocking our traveller tone and talking, basically saying you should have burnt the rest of them.
And how did you, Martin, and how did you feel when you saw that?
I was absolutely disgusted, and I actually cried with anger when I read it.
Okay.
I'm thinking, this is 2015. We're supposed to be a republic. We're supposed to be a democracy. And then we just do this for our own people who just want to get away from where they lost their relatives, and they won't even let them in. I mean, when has it got so bad? What have the travellers done to deserve this treatment?
Do you think the same attitude would be taken if it was members of the settled community who
Absolutely not. 100% not a chance. People would open them with welcome arms. There would be flowers, there would be, bring them in, come on and settle in here. You can stay here, you lost your family. But no, travellers have had to stay in hotels and B&Bs that has been accommodated for them by people from the travelling community who actually care about them. But this kind of behaviour is not acceptable.
What does it say in terms of the general issue, the wider issue, I suppose, of the accommodation of members of the travelling community? Is it the view of the Kerry Travellers Project or other lobby groups and agencies who represent travellers that there needs to be something done to address the wider issue of accommodation for travellers?
Yeah, I mean, that's something we've always discussed from day one at our meetings. It has to be, things have to change. We need to look at how our travellers are accommodated, how they are treated on a day-to-day basis in all different parts of the country and in different areas. When situations come to offer accommodation, things should be shown and offered them just like they would ask a normal person from the settled community or any other person. Okay. That's what we've been discussing. Working very hard on it as well.
The residents of the estate close to which the temporary accommodation is to be provided, I heard one of them speaking over the past 24 hours who said, there was very little consultation. This came upon them almost overnight, and despite the assurances from the council that these people might only be accommodated there for 6 months.
6 months, a new site,
Do you understand any of the concerns of the residents who have this maybe foisted upon them very suddenly by the local authority, and who have genuine concerns maybe about their homes or people they're living beside over the coming months? And is that can you understand maybe their concerns, and are they justified?
To be honest with you, and I won't lie on air, no, because it's like they're just going there to going to stay in the site. They won't be bothering anyone. They want to do their thing, live in the site, and get away from the fire, and get away from where their relatives were burnt alive. They're not going there to cause mayhem or whatever the public opinion is that they think travellers will go there to do. It's not like that at all. They just want to get away. They want to live with their families, their remains.
Okay.
The remaining family. They just want to... I don't understand it. Please, if anyone can tell me it.
What would you say, though, to, and some of our listeners have been getting in touch with us over the last day or two about this, what would you say to, that a small minority of travellers maybe over the years have, through their behaviour, damaged the reputation of the traveller community? Is that justifiable?
I've always said some travellers behave the way people expect them, and they let the rest of us down, and in their actions kind of condones the rest of us. So basically people think if one of us do it, we all do it. Well, it's different in the settled community. If one settled person does it, it's just him that does it. It's just his family is associated with that kind of behaviour. But if one traveller does one bit wrong, it condones and condemns the whole country of travellers.
Are the majority of travellers being tarnished because of the actions of a minority?
That's what I'm saying, exactly. And it's not. That shouldn't be the case at all.
Some of the callers to our programme have said as well that maybe there are plenty of other locations that could have been found to accommodate these people even in the short term. Is it a major problem when even to find halting sites and temporary halting sites in the first place to try and find appropriate locations?
I think we need to find some location. I mean, they can't be staying in hotels forever. That's just not on. That's not acceptable. That shouldn't be the way society is. I think they should let them into the halting site.
Yeah, because in one of the articles today, Martin Collins, who's with the Pavey Point group, he says he understood the local frustrations, but he urged the residents to search deep inside their conscience and ask if what they were doing was right. He said they're only adding to the pain and suffering that these families are already enduring.
Exactly. I think they should look deep down inside them, as they were saying, and even if they wanted to, I don't know, maybe have the travellers on 24/7 surveillance. If they were to let them into the halting site, if that's what the people were worried about, and those are their fears, that they will go there and cause trouble, then by all means have them under 24/7 surveillance.
Okay.
If that is what they want.
On the other hand, there has been, it's evident from the media from the last couple of days, there has been a very significant outpouring of support and grief from the wider community.
Even the president, Michael D., he wrote in the condolence book, which is great to see as well.
Yeah, and there was a candlelight vigil held last night, which was attended obviously.
And there was a mass there at the site as well a few days ago. Over 60 people turned up, which is great to see as well.
And when you see the sort of reaction of residents, do you despair of Irish society when you see the sort of attitude taken to travellers?
It makes me disgusting to think that in 2015 that people who just want to get away from watching their families burn alive, just want to go away from it, that people won't open with open arms. Aren't we all Christians and Catholics? And isn't that what the good faith is all about? And then we do this to them. I already think there should be some person who will overview the traveller halting sites. There should be someone in power from a humanitarian standpoint who would overview them, like overview the halting sites. There should be someone, an overseer, I think, 100%.
Supervise standards.
Because the caravans were always near the road. For years, it was always near the road, and it's always a fire hazard. If the travellers were allowed to travel the road in the caravans, there would have been no fire. They would have been out on the road, there would have been no problem. They would have been able to travel. But no, they're thrust into a small space in a halting site near a lot of dangerous sparks. We started this tragedy Saturday, a little spark, and all of it is buzzed together. You're forced in. People don't understand. You have to live it to understand it. You're forced into a small little trailer. You have your bedroom. There's around 10 of your siblings there with a lot of sparks put together. The TV is plugged in, the kettle, everything. Sparks can fly any second, any fuse, and you're thrust together. There's no way to get out. There's trailers there, there's trailers over there. There is no air. It's not like a apartment building where you can go down. You're stuck together. Had they been granted permission to go out on the road, there would have been none of this.
Okay. You're 21 years of age, is that right?
Yes.
What are your hopes as a young man for the traveller community? Do you think 50 years from now we'll still be here talking about suspicions and tensions between the traveller community and the settled community?
I'll be honest with you, yes. I hope to God, and I'll work as hard as I can, and I will gladly, I'll say on air, go to Carrickmines right now and lead the protest so that they may get into the halting site. I will gladly go there right now and lead it. But I don't think things will change. I will work very hard. We're all working very hard to point out that there is good in travellers, that I can see, that we all see, that a few actions doesn't condemn a society. A few people's action doesn't condemn the other travellers who do good, who just want to take care of their families and maybe get education and break away from the stereo point of travellers who don't go to school. We're working hard, very hard for that. But I don't think it will change, sadly.
You're hoping to write a work possibly based on the tragedy.
Yes.
You've obviously had success as an actor and a playwright
Yes.
already.
Yes.
What would you hope to produce or put together to...
I'm actually working on a small piece called Flames, and is completely inspired by this tragedy, but it's from a different point of view. It's from the aftermath of a fire.
Is that a piece of drama? Or
Piece of drama that I'm writing, a script. And it's from aftermath. It's after a fire would happen to a travelling family, and the aftermath and the events of it, what would happen to the family from their point of view. And then it switches to the public's point of view and how they see it. But it's not like completely took from the public's hating on this. It's like a different point of view. So you'll see the good side of the public, the bad side of the public in the story, and you'll also see the heart, but it'll always be from one person's perspective. So hopefully people will enjoy it.
So you've been so inspired in a way by the events and the response to events.
Very. I had 2 sleepless nights over it. Just up all night thinking of ways, coming up with ideas. And that's when I thought about the travellers maybe being under constant surveillance. If that's what the public want to see, that they're there to cause trouble, then by all means surveil them, and they'll prove you all wrong that they're not there for that.
The funerals, I understand, haven't taken place in this.
No, they haven't even identified the bodies yet, which is terrible to hear.
Because obviously when you hear of talk of legal action and court action over a situation.
Yes.
Just a comment we've had from a listener. My dad, who's 86 years of age, says he was robbed by a group of travellers last year. He's now petrified to be alone, and then the traveller community wonder why they are not wanted in communities. What would you say?
Well, I would say to that lady, I'm very sorry to hear that. I absolutely do not condone the action by the travellers, but once again, that is not all of us. That is a few people. That does not condemn. That does not mean the travellers in Carrickmines are going to rob 87-year-old people near their halting site. Are they granted the right to move in there? It's not everyone. A few people's actions does not condone a society of travellers.
Okay. All right, Martin Mahon, who's the Vice Chair of the Kerry Travellers Health and Community Development Project. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.